So you're thinking about getting a piercing, but you got a lot of questions on your mind about it. You're wondering, what is the process like? Where do I even go to get a piercing? Oh, and is there an aftercare process? These are some important questions to consider when getting a piercing, because you want to make sure that your piercing is successful overall and that there's no complications with it. What I want to review with you here today, and my purpose of this video, is to help you go over my experience and some tips and information that have been helpful to me now that I've had my piercings for about a year. And I think it's very important to consider these tips that I'm about to go over, so stick with me. Let's go over my experience, and hopefully this will help you in your consideration for piercings. Alright, so the first thing you want to consider is doing your research. You don't want to just go to some place not knowing what the procedure's like and not knowing if the people there know what they're doing or not. So you want to do your research. You want to make sure you go to the right place with certified piercers who know what they're doing. Are they using the safest and most efficient tools? And are they giving you all the information you need for aftercare for the piercing? Now, for the purposes of this video, I'm going to focus on my earlobe piercings. Some of the tips and information I'm going to go over can apply to the other piercings, but that's mainly what I'm going to focus on here. So when it comes to doing your research, the first thing you want to know is, how is the piercing done? There's always the debate of, is a piercing gun or a piercing needle safer? And in my opinion, the piercing needle is safer because of a few reasons. One, it is easier to clean and it's better to clean, so it's more efficient for everybody who comes in. You know, there's a lot of people who can come in sometimes for a piercing, so you want to make sure you're getting the piercing done with a hygienic tool. The second reason is it's safer. You don't want somebody with a piercing gun just going, all right, hold still. You want somebody who knows what they're doing with the piercing, has a quick process to do it. And I'll go over a bit more information about what my experience was like as it was done with the piercing needle. And another thing you want to look into is the place that you get the piercing done. So that's very important because you want to make sure that you get it done by professional and certified piercers who know what they're doing and are using efficient tools. And so that's going to be the next thing I want to talk about, is my experience and why I chose the place I chose. So when it comes to my actual experience of getting the piercing, I chose a local boutique near me for a few reasons. One, they had over 300 five-star Google reviews that gave specific and detailed experiences of how the staff is friendly, certified, the safety of the piercing needle. And I could find this all on their website as well. So they were able to give me information about the staff, their certifications, how they use the piercing needle, and the safety procedures that they use. So I chose them. So when I set up my appointment and I went to the boutique. Now, when I went in, I was greeted by one of the friendly staff members who I said I was there for my appointment, and they laid out what I was going to be doing there. So the first thing I did was they had me choose my starter earrings. So they just gave me an assortment of just small, they were really small, about 1 millimeter starter studs. So I chose starter studs that had it was interesting, you had to push it through the back of the ear and put the earring in the front. Knowing what I know now, I would have gone with the butterfly clasp instead. It would have been easier to take out when it came time for that, but it was really hard to put in for times that I had to take it off. So that's just a lesson I learned. I would go with the butterfly starter earrings, butterfly clasp, instead of the push through. So I chose them, and then they let me know, all right, so you're going to meet your staff member in a few moments, and so just take a seat. So I did. Really quick, I met them within 5 minutes, and they gave me a little bit of information about who they were, good conversation just to get to know each other, and then they explained the procedure. So it was interesting. I sat on the chair and I explained to them where I wanted my piercings. I wanted it in the center of the earlobe. That was just my preference. So what they did is they took a little marker and they marked in the middle of each ear as best as possible. And then what was cool is that when it came to the piercing needle, it was actually a piercing needle on like a stand that was to my ear length. And what they did is they had two, kind of hard to explain, but they had kind of two slots that were like this, that they aimed at my ear, so that when the piercing needle went through, it would just have a quick guide through to the correct spot. When it came to the actual piercing being done, because it was my first time. It was like a quick 2-second sting. It stung a lot right at the beginning, but quickly went away. So in terms of the pain wasn't too terrible for me. They acknowledged that I had a bit of pain, but they let me know that it would go away pretty quickly. And just like that, I was done. And then they put the starter ones in, and they had me take a look to make sure that it looked good. And I was blown away at first. These had been something that I'd wanted done for a long time, and to finally see myself that way, I thought they were really cool, really awesome, and I felt good overall about it. So I said that I looked good. They took me to the front. They gave me important aftercare instructions, and they let me know that I was good to go. The overall price was about $150. Kind of steep, but I already kind of knew this going in, and I was going to go full way through it, so I was okay with that price, and they sent me on my way. So overall, it was a great experience for me. I really appreciated that staff, and they did a great job for my experience there. All right, so when it came to the piercing aftercare, in my thoughts when I got the piercing, I thought, okay, I get the piercing, and I can put the earrings that I want in at any time that I want. Boy, was I mistaken. So what happens actually with your starter earrings is that you want to leave them in for about 8 to 12 weeks. That's the initial time that you want for the piercings for you to get used to the piercings and for them to be in your ears. So this was news to me, so there was a bit of a patience period, but I followed the instructions that they had given me, and you want to make sure that you clean your ears every day. The instructions had 2 times a day. I did that occasionally, but I made sure to do it at least once a day, and it's very important because your piercings heal, at least the earlobe piercings heal from the outside in. So you want to make sure that you're cleaning them so that they heal properly, that there's no kind of infection or anything like that, especially for a new piercing, because your body can be prone to that. All of our bodies are different, of course, and we can react differently, so it's important that you clean the piercing. So I did that at least once a day, every day. And I'll link in the description the product that I use myself. I think it's worked great so far this past year for me. I'm still using it currently. So take a look. There are a lot of different products out there, and I advise you to do your research on what would work best for you. But this is what I use, so I'll link that in the description. And when it finally came to the end of that 8 to 12 week period, I decided that I would change up my earrings occasionally, when we went out or went somewhere nice, to use the earrings I wanted, and then I would change them back to the starter ones after we came back. And I just did this for 6 months after that 8 to 12 week period, somewhere around there, just to be able to use the earrings that I wanted, but still make sure that my piercings healed properly. And then just a side note I wanted to throw in there, as you're cleaning your piercings, you want to make sure that you get in the front and the back of the piercing pretty well, but you may notice some bleeding, and that's just because you're moving the earring around, and a little bit of bleeding's okay. If you notice more though, or more pain, you want to check with your piercer or even your doctor just to make sure you're okay, that there's no concern. So you want to get that looked at right away. So it came to the point where about 7 months in, I finally decided that I want to take my starters out and put ones in that I wanted to wear more often. And so I did. And that led to a pretty weird incident. So at the 7th month mark, as I put in the piercings or the earrings that I wanted, I went from cleaning them every day to cleaning about once a week. Because in my instructions it said, as you get past 6 months, you don't have to clean them every day. So I thought cleaning them once a week would be okay, making sure that, I'm using them okay, but make sure that I get some cleaning in there. And what I noticed is that this was okay until I noticed that there was a red bump on my left ear. This is what was, I think, known anyway as a keloid. And this is something where basically if your body has a wound, it'll try to overheal or try to heal, but sometimes overhealing can occur and it can lead to over scarring or more scarring. And that's what I think this was. And it was sensitive and it hurt. So I was concerned about it. So what I decided to do is monitor it, and I decided to go back to a cleaning regimen, but every other day, to make sure that I clean my ears well, and then there was no other concern that way. And after about 2 weeks, I noticed that it went away, and I'm very grateful. Again, using the same product that I've linked in the description. That's what I would use every other day to clean it. The bump went away. There's been no concerns since that time, so I really like using this cleaning product that I've been using, so definitely take a look. And that's something that I would recommend using. That's what I've been using myself, and it's worked great since that time. And I still use that cleaning regimen every other day to make sure that I keep the cleanliness and avoid concerns or infections, things like that. So that's my experience after having my earrings for about a year now. And my last bit of advice would be, if this is something you've been thinking about doing, you've done your research, you know what's going into it, I would say go for it. You know, I really like the ear piercings that I have. It's something that I've wanted for a long time, and it's something I finally went ahead and did, and I'm glad that I did it. I've been able to experiment different earrings, just show off my style, right? This is a style, an accessory thing, something that I really like, and I've tried different ones, and I've been pretty happy with them overall. So if it's something that you know is going to work out, I would say go for it. Just be confident, be bold. You know, there's going to be some initial maybe awkwardness or feelings that it's different, right? So if you get them, people are going to react. That's just part of the way it is with these, right? And you know, I've had some concerning responses, but I've also had some great compliments too, and that's what it all comes down to, is the reaction, right? Reaction, but even more so, how do you feel in them? And if you feel great in them overall, that's what matters. If you feel great, nobody else's opinion matters. The negative ones you can just brush to the side. The positive ones you can just add to your self-confidence, right? So I'd say go for it. Just make sure you do your research, know where you're getting it done, make sure it's being done using good tools, certified piercers, and make sure you follow the aftercare that is instructed, that the place should be giving you after that. This has been my experience, and again, the purpose of this video was to help those who are thinking about doing it, wondering what goes into the process. So I'm hoping I've been able to help you guys. I appreciate you taking time to watch my video, and in the comments let me know what your experience has been like. What do you think of yours? Are you happy with your piercings? I'd really like to know, so put those down in the comments. Let me know if you have any other things you wanted to bring up for this type of topic. But I appreciate you watching my video, guys, and I'll see you next time.